Hi, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm speaking once again on Dakota Access Pipeline. It has not come up in either the first presidential debate by either of the major parties. It has not come up in the vice presidential debate by either of the major parties. And so we discuss it in alternative venues. We expand the debates, not only to Jill Stein and Ajamu Baraka of the Green Party, but also to us citizens at home who have concerns. We can expand the debate. I'm looking at an article on Common Dreams. It's 32 arrested after 200 Iowa no DAPL protesters dismantle security fence in bid to disrupt pipeline drilling. So the civil disobedience has escalated, at least in this part of Iowa. They were on the banks of the Mississippi River. They had gone through a woodland lot to get to the Dakota Access River boring site, and then they tore down a security fence before the Iowa State Patrol and Lee County Sheriff's Department repelled them. 32 people were arrested and charged with trespassing. And so this protest is not just in North Dakota and South Dakota. It's also in Iowa. I'm not sure if there's been protests in Illinois. I haven't seen much news about that, but definitely in Iowa. There's been protests, there's been lawsuits, there's been civil disobedience, things like that. And so several groups have gone together, banded their people together to do this protest. And so Mississippi Stand, it's an intentional community of everyday people, and they occupy a camp across from the Mississippi River construction site. And that's where the Dakota Access is working to continue construction to finish up the pipeline. So this is more of a demonstration. Much of the pipeline construction across the state is already completed, but the drilling continues at the Des Moines River in central Iowa and on the Mississippi River in southeast Iowa. And so there's a group of indigenous people from the Sacred Stone Camp at Standing Rock. They also joined that demonstration in Iowa, as well as the University of Iowa Native American Student Association. So it's a wide band of people from across the United States, indigenous populations, and then white populations. Black Lives Matter has participated in events. Latino. I'm not sure if there's been Asian participants in these protests, but different groups of people have shown opposition. Basically, anyone who wants a clean environment might want to speak up. So I noticed that in North Dakota, there are ranchers and farms nearby, landowners in North Dakota. They have not joined the protest overtly from what I can see. It's been mostly the Native American population, but in the state of Iowa, it's whoever's concerned about the river, the water, the soil. This is farmland. This is where food grows. They are concerned and they participate. And so more than 155 water guardians have been arrested in Iowa at construction sites in Boone and Lee counties since August 31st. So they're definitely involved and engaged. And I'm going to speak more about that pipeline because there's another article with Dakota Access back in court. Activists are still asking, where's Clinton? This is an international issue now. Chairman David Archambault has spoken to the United Nations General Assembly about what's happening to the indigenous population and what's happening to the land and the water, and how the corporations are overreaching and attacking the people. This is the oligarchy attacking the citizens with violence and force using National Guardsmen, using military, using a police force to act as their agents to attack the people with violence. So they're asking, where's Clinton on this issue? It's a leadership vacuum at the federal level. Barack Obama's barely shown interest. He said words, but not really done anything to really step in and weigh in on this matter. Hillary Clinton has said nothing. Donald Trump has said nothing. But Greenpeace did expose that Donald Trump has financial ties to the pipeline. Donald Trump has investments with energy transfer partners. And so there's a 3-judge panel at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. They were asked to keep in place a temporary halt to construction while the Standing Rock Sioux tribe appealed a lower court ruling from September. So the Sioux Nation is using the court system. The sheriff in Morton County has been trying to brand Sioux Nation as violent, anarchist, savages, but they're using the court system. It's actually the Dakota Access Pipeline builders who have been using security forces and attack dogs and using extrajudicial violence against this indigenous population, while the sheriff's department does nothing but arrest the victims and then the journalists trying to document what's happening. So basically, it's terrorism against the Sioux Nation at a state level that's being allowed and not being stopped by Barack Obama, by Donald Trump, by Hillary Clinton. And no, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are not in positions to stop it. They are in positions to lobby against it, to use their bully pulpit. And the question is, why aren't they? And this article is explaining the reasons. Donald Trump has financial ties. Hillary Clinton is playing the middle, the center right, center left, wherever she needs to be. So the chairman, Dave Archambault, who's going to speak about this in Washington, D.C., he's been speaking out about it. He says that they're not going to back down from this fight. They're looking to Hillary Clinton for a sign of where she stands. She has yet to state anything publicly, or whether she supports it, or, people have been asking her and she's been quiet and silent. And I'll just say right here, leaders lead from the front, not the back. So they're saying that there might be one reason might be that labor itself is divided. The AFL-CIO leader, Mr. Trumpka, has come out in support of the Dakota Access Pipeline because it means jobs, and that there are some people involved at the higher levels who want the jobs. But then there are also parts of the union, mostly the minority-led union members, the black members have come out against Dakota Access Pipeline. Latino, Asian have come out against the pipeline, saying that they do not support it, and they do not support what's happening to the Sioux Nation because of it. And so there's a break with the union. And, that's the dichotomy, that the trade union is divided, and so Hillary Clinton's not taking sides. She's an opportunist. She's going to play the middle until she knows which way the wind blows. That's Hillary Clinton. People keep asking her. She keeps showing you who and what she is. You keep asking her, and she keeps showing you. This is what she is. This is what she's always been like, from the 90s forward. 90s, 2000s. Now we're here, 2010. This is, what she is. And so going back to the jobs, I just think it's not necessary at what point is a job not a job, and it's actually oppression against another group of people, a group of vulnerable people. You can ask the same of, people who build on these pipelines and destroy the communities and the environment, the soil and the water And then the people. And that's one of the concerns about the pipeline. There's something called a man camp that springs up around the pipeline. It's the builders, the construction workers, mostly men, almost always men, with a lot of money, with no emotional or any kind of related ties to the community, who find themselves in an aggressive environment and they prey upon the communities surrounding the pipeline, which is one of the reasons why, the indigenous population does not want the pipeline, because of the destruction of the community that it leaves behind. There's sexual violence against the women and the children, boys as well as girls. People that are perceived as controllable, vulnerable, weaker, with no protection from law enforcement. Because if a sheriff will stand by and watch dogs be sicked on pregnant women and children, he will likely stand by while they are assaulted by people in the man camps, by men working on a construction pipeline, leaving devastation to that community, introducing hard drugs into the community, also destroying the personal relationships in the community. So there are various reasons why people do not want that pipeline being built. And so you have to ask, when is a job not a job? When is a job an act of oppression against another group of people? We can ask a police officer that, when is a job not a job? You're not serving and protecting, you're actually oppressing a group of people. We can ask, prison guards the same thing. There's, often when there's a threat to the industry, such as decriminalization of marijuana, there are people who are fighting against that because they're concerned about their jobs. They're concerned about their bottom line. They're not concerned about human rights. They're not concerned about personal freedom. They're concerned about, well, what about my job? When is a job not a job? You can ask some members of the military, when is your job not a job? And so that's what's going on with the labor movement, where some are in contrast with the environmental and human rights activists. And, Richard Trumka saying, well, we need those jobs. And, the groups are saying, well, we need clean water, and we need our lives, and we need our safety and security, which this pipeline violates. So there's just many issues surrounding this pipeline, some more overtly stated than others, but there are concerns all around. I will say that Jill Stein's Green New Deal solves virtually every concern about this. The Green New Deal is already working at the state level in some states, where there's been money provided or freed, redirected towards renewable energy projects that have been workable. In Iowa, you see all these wind farms, and then you see this pipeline, and who's been doing this decision making? So, I say overall that maybe we've come to a point in time where we have to really consider a way forward, and it's probably the younger generation that's going to lead us. If I can make a suggestion, I would say that rather than take these jobs that cause harm, find alternatives. Rather than entering the police force, consider firefighting or EMT, search and rescue, equally fulfilling of serving and protecting lives, but without causing harm to others. Rather than entering the military or enlisting, why not run for office? There's going to be quite a bit of opening in 2 years, 2018. There's going to be governorships coming available. It's going to be about 435 congressional seats. More than, well, I think about 30, maybe somewhere in the 30s, I think. Senate seats are coming open. And then as people who are in office now move up to take those positions, there'll be openings at the lower levels. Rather than enlist in military service, why not run for office? Get your vacation time, your pension, your health care, your salary, and then serve the public at the same time. And then rather than the pipeline building, rather than do that, I would say maybe look for alternatives in the renewable energy industry. I mean, it's just as fulfilling to build a windmill as a pipeline, I think. I've never built one. But, same thing, hard hats, goggles, safety glasses, steel toe boots, and a nice paycheck at the end of the day. There are alternatives. And so when people say, well, I've got children to feed, well, everyone's, most of us have children to feed. Causing harm to someone else's children to feed your own, does that make you feel good? And does it have to be that way? There's alternatives. I think if we look hard enough and we find the will and the leadership, it can be done. Good luck.